My name is Erwin McManus, and you were listening to the Battle Ready podcast. I'm here with my dad, Erwin McManus. We're here together in the same city.
We're back in LA. We've
Finally.
been in New York. But
Yes.
It's great to be home.
You were in New York twice.
I was there 2 different weeks in a row.
And I decided not to come back and just stay there.
Yes, you did.
So I was there for like 2 weeks, and it was a long time. It's the longest I've been there in 5 years.
Is
No,
it ever
7
too long
years.
to stay in New York?
Yes, sometimes. It is like
New York. I love you. Just
no, I
remember
love
that.
New York too. I think mosaic. We need a mosaic in New York.
We do, and I think we already have a mosaic community in New York. It's informal, and I think we need to formalize our community in New York.
I think so too. But you know, like whenever you're traveling, being anywhere for longer than 4 days gets exhausting.
That's true.
You
That's
know-
true, because you kind of want to go home and sleep in your own bed and have some of your own routines and go to your own coffee shop and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and shout out to the Soho Grand for taking care of me for like a week and
And
keeping me
For 10
off
years, the Soho Grand was my home away from home.
It really, like when we were doing business, that's where
Yeah.
we would go every month.
I mean the guys who work the
Door, we
The
still
door,
know
they-
the valet guys. Like they're
yeah,
our
they
friends.
still know us from all the years back, and
But
it's a great place.
it was really sweet during the pandemic. We started working with a new factory out there. Really, really cool guys. A guy named Arturo from Storytellers and Creators, and an all Latin factory, except for the 2 Taiwanese guys in the corner.
I think John's white.
John's white.
Yeah.
And Hips, the two Taiwanese guys, husband and wife, they're not white. So
But they're all so creative
they're all so creative.
and so kind. It's just a great community.
So kind. And it was really good to be there. And so you sent me out during COVID, and I got stuck there during the blizzard.
Mhm.
And I almost got to a point where like, was I going to make it back for Christmas? And you called me and you were like, son, I love you, but you better get that first flight out of New York City before your mom kills me. If you
That's
don't make
right.
it back to Christmas, you better never come. You may not want to come home.
Yeah, you're gonna save my life by getting home. So
But being in New York was amazing. It was super cool to be back and create. And we were there together in the factory, and like in I say a factory, but really it's just a really beautiful space where creativity happens.
yeah, it's an incredible creative space where there's cutting and pattern making and tailoring and sewing and just the whole process of making clothes
Yeah.
takes place, which is so great because you can come in with your designs and start that morning, making patterns, cutting fabrics, so watching it getting sewn together and then trying it on, sampling it and see if you got it right, and then start all over again when you realize you got it wrong.
It's that happened actually with that hoodie that you're wearing.
That's right. This hoodie is a metaphor for why you should never give up on life, because I love this hoodie. It's absolutely beautiful.
Yes.
The material I very, very carefully selected because I wanted to wear it.
We're actually we're gonna release that hoodie in a week, I think. We're gonna release a new collection.
Yes,
We've been
we're
working
going to be
on it.
releasing a series of we have hoodies, short coats,
It's just
shorts.
it's a new capsule.
Yeah,
We got a bunch of different
trousers,
items.
all from these Indian quilts that are just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
And we repurposed all these quilts and turned them into incredible design.
Yes. Embrace yourself. There will be expensive. So just save us the comments, just support with your words. And if you want to buy, you can buy. But really, honestly, we're just excited to be kind of diving back into our creative kind of space in that way,
Yeah, no, it's exciting. And this hoodie took 2 iterations because working with this material, the patterns don't quite work the way that you would think they'd work. And the first time through, the hoodie was a bit of a
disaster.
fashion tragedy. Yeah, it came out
Really bad.
it came out really bad.
Yeah.
And we did not give up. We did not give up. And
Yeah, but I mean, here's the thing though, is like you rarely hit it the first time.
not if you're trying to make something new and unique. If you're working off of a block or a pattern that's, really common or that is used a lot, it's a lot easier. But when you're making enough refinements and adjustments and changes to the patterns, and if you're using really unique fabrics, that's where it becomes tricky, because if you change fabrics, the patterns don't work the same.
Right. So we landed in New York and it was raining, and so we missed the book club. And then I didn't have you last week. We missed the book club. Book club, we got to start again because I don't want to leave people high and dry.
No, not at all.
But we have just been a little busy, and we were talking this morning, and I realized that I'm back in McManus Gallery world. That my winter is over. My spring, my winter, Christmas break, whatever it is. Like I haven't stopped working since I landed. I was working till I fell asleep on my bed because I moved and I have no chairs in my house. So the only place to sit is my bed or the floor, and the floor was cold. So I sat on my bed and I fell asleep. And we're back in it. We're going to release a few different capsules over the next few weeks, month and a half. And we will hopefully have some things for you that are a bit more price point.
Accessible. Yes.
But really, like, this isn't the brand that is the most accessible, and that's okay. Right?
Well, yeah, of course, because, there are a lot of different spaces in which you can step into fashion. But we're not going to compete with Target and Walmart. They can make a million things with maybe less expensive.
They're doing millions of units.
Yeah,
and that drives down your overall cost.
And it's at a lower quality, even though it's great. Like I have a lot of things from Target.
I will only wear sweatpants from Walmart.
Yeah, and then you have things that are in kind of the mid range, and you have a different level of fabrics, and then maybe a different level of skill and composition and design.
And I think that's also why we named it what we named it, McManus Gallery, because it is more of an art expression than it is us trying to be something that is accessible to everyone. Like when you own a piece, it will last forever, but it will change. It will deteriorate. It will rip. You'll have to sew it. Like we talk about it all the time. We're like, this thing is gonna fall apart.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to patch it up and like make it messy, and it will lose its perfection. And like that's the best part about, I think, the kind of luxury goods that we're getting into.
And on top of that, most of our stuff is really one of one, and we're not everything's going to be one of one,
right?
But almost everything we make is one of few,
right?
And so I would say the things we make a lot of that are the same, it may just be 10 of them, and they're not even the same in those 10. So if you buy this hoodie, no one else in the world will have a hoodie that looks like it. If you buy the pair of shorts that are coming out, you better go fast. If you like a pair of shorts, if you don't get it, it's gone. It's gone forever.
Right. And we're really big. Like we're not trying to make a million of anything.
No, I love making one of one.
The only thing I want to make a million of is dollars.
Whoa.
And not shorts or jackets. No, I'm good. Let's just make, and not that the sole purpose is making money. And the reality is we're creating stuff that I think is more, like we talk about it a lot. Like I wish people could just walk through it and people could like look at it like a gallery. People could actually touch it and try it on.
Yeah.
And it's a really beautiful, beautiful experience getting to create with you. So this has been fun.
Yeah.
And I'm more involved this time.
You're so involved. And it's funny.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
One of the things that my friend Paulo Lima was telling me, who him and his wife started It Cosmetics, is that they didn't take a salary for the first 3 years or first 5 years, something like that. And you would think that if you grew a company from scratch, sold it for $1.2 billion, that there was never been a day that you did not have a salary. But for the first 3 to 5 years, they never got paid a penny.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think, oh, when you're starting a new business or you're starting something like a fashion company, oh, you must be doing it because you're just rolling in the cash. And truth is that as far as McManus Gallery goes, we're both free employees.
No, yeah. And I'm super free.
Yeah, he's free and he's grateful. He's grateful to get to do that.
No, I'm not. We thought about it. What are you looking at?
Won't they be here in time for Christmas if people order next week?
Yes. Well, no, I don't know, Brooke. Don't limit us. We might miss Christmas. I wouldn't. No, we will. No, I think our first drop's next week on the 15th, and then the last one will be December 15th, I think. Mm-hmm. And the hope is that like when it's December 15th, we're just going to 2-day ship as much stuff as we can.
And what I would say is that we don't have employees.
No.
So if you want whatever you want to buy by Christmas, you need to order it right away, because basically it all comes down to how fast Aaron can put it into a box.
It really is.
And stamp it and send it to you.
Yeah.
And so basically we guarantee Christmas until we can't guarantee it.
We're the most like non-luxury luxury brand.
This is rogue.
It is rogue, but it's from the ground up. But this is the thing though, is like, if you have a piece from us now, like this, like what I love, like we just wiped our Instagram, took everything off for the most part. And I kind of love it because I'm like, you're not really going to be able to look back at the stuff that we've done. Like it is, if you see it out there, then we changed the labels, we've changed the name, we've changed the branding, we've changed the way we do things. Like so much has evolved in the second year versus the first year. And really that was year 0, and now this is year 1. And now I feel like next year will be year 2, and we're just going to continue to grow and develop, you know?
And everyone who is a part of it is getting to be a part of the process, not just the final product.
Yeah.
Which is to me really, really exciting. How often you get to be a part of the beginning of something.
I went to coffee this morning and a couple of things. I have exciting stories. Do you have exciting?
Oh, let me hear. I want to hear.
No, well, one, I was a couple of things, like being in the beginning of something. Like I ended up following this furniture designer last week. And I probably just like being half awake on the flight, just DM'd him, was like, hey, just a big, like loving what you're working on. Love your work, you know. And then he responded like almost immediately. Hey, wow. let's meet up. I was like, I'm in New York, but I'm coming back to LA. Would love to come by. He's like, come to my studio. Let's sit down. Let's talk. And it was really cool. We ended up having like this wonderful conversation, but talking about like being at the beginning of something. He was like, man, like people who hit me up that, you know, he's got a decent following. It's not huge yet, but I think he has more of an artistic, like, I think people in the art world are finding him and kind of grabbing his pieces now before. But he was like, man, if someone's been following me on Instagram since like the beginning, I like hook them up. I like try to take care of them and give them a discount. And I was like, that's really special, you know? But also at the same time, he was just like, he's like, I want to build a following of not fans, but family and community. And he's like, and also when I design a piece, it's more about like, value is something that shifts. You know what I mean? Like, I want someone who's really going to care about this because the value in that grows so much. And I think about that with our clothing. Like I went to coffee this morning and the first thing the guy said was, hey, how much are those pants going to cost me? And I was like, probably $1,000 because they're the only ones that exist. And to make another one is going to be really complicated for me, you know? And from the sourcing to the flying and to the shipping and to like everything that goes, all the components that go into something, it is genuinely it's hard. It's intricate. So
it's time consuming.
Are we making money on it? I don't know. It would be better to say like, it'd be better to be cool and be like, yeah, but we're not. But maybe. I don't know. We're figuring it out.
But you know, if we keep creating, designing, expressing what we see, our perspective.
Yeah.
I'm just going to trust that in 3 to 5 years, we're going to be okay.
Oh, in 3 to 5 years, I want to be in the MoMA. I don't want to be okay. I want to be in art galleries. Like, I want the stuff to be so nice you don't want to wear it, but then you wear it because that's like the swag you have.
But you see, that's the way I feel about it. And I mean, when I made this hoodie, I mean, right away I thought to myself, I know I should sell this, but I'm not going to sell it. And
you're a thief.
I am. And then when I made
this guy, I'm in the factory 15 hours a day. And I'm like, where's the coat? Where's the coat? Oh, Erwin took it. When did he take it? I walked him out. He put it in his backpack. He didn't want you to see it. You're kidding me.
Well, I mean, I made the first 2 pair of wool shorts, cut those things, you know. And
yeah, where's the second pair? I still can't find the second pair. I only have one of them. Where's the other one?
Who knows where it may be?
No, but I need your size. I need your size.
And,
it stresses me out.
They're absolutely beautiful. They're
Friday.
Extraordinary. And then the first 2 shorts from the quilts were so breathtaking.
Yeah, I have those back. I sold those.
But the funny thing about it is that you know how emotionally attached I get to every piece of fabric.
It's so crazy.
And so
I just don't care.
And you told me, Dad, go through and say goodbye to all the quilts.
I did. I was yelling it in the factory. Say goodbye to all the quilts. We're selling these.
I have this level of empathy and connectedness where every fabric, every quilt feels like it's a part of me now. And so when we have to cut it, I go through a psychological process.
But something, it's crazy.
And to sell it, to know that I'll never see that pair of shorts again. That's going to be somewhere in New York or somewhere in Miami or in London.
Yeah, but my thing is this is one thing I picked up at YSL when I worked there was like some isms that the creative director had, and I didn't work with him one-on-one, but I got to work with people who worked with him. And it's like the layers and the culture transfers in the layers of the company. And one thing that he talked about was how I was able to work on a few of the store openings, and like when the stores would open, he would never walk in it again. He would send friends, he would hear about through clients, but he would never walk back in it again. And I wondered like why that was. And I brought that into Mosaic in a bit, but I definitely think we need to bring this into you a little bit because he just felt like the moment that the store was open, it was no longer for him. It was for the world.
Yeah.
For people to come in. Like I don't go to church on Sunday and feel like that's for me because I don't like being stressed. So going to church being stressed is not fun. You know what I mean? Like, but you go to church and to be refreshed and renewed and to challenge yourself. But when we do this stuff, I'm like, it's time to release it. Then there's like I know we have that pair of pants. Yeah. And we took my pair of Carhartts, double kneed that were super washed down and ripped, and like pulled them apart and built a new pant.
But the new was so much more extraordinary than
and
the old.
I'm a good son. I made it in your size. And we're going to sell it. We're going to sell it.
We may sell it.
But let's dive into a couple principles, right? Let's dive into a couple principles.
Well, I think one thing is don't sell anything you don't love, or don't sell something you wouldn't wear.
What are you talking about? But you have a hard time letting people go too, like firing people.
Well, of course I do, because people are more valuable than things.
But letting someone go doesn't devalue them.
No. How do we shift to this?
Because this is talking about emotional connection to things, to inanimate objects.
Yeah, I know one of the things you have to really...
But people are not inanimate, I'm saying. But like it transfers over. You have a hard time letting go of inanimate objects and human beings.
Right. And the thing I always have to remind myself when you do have to let someone go is you're releasing them to be in the place they should be, and releasing them from a place that isn't best for them. And you have to really, you should always realize that as a boss, your job is like this dual relationship, doing what's best for the company and what's best for the individual.
Yeah.
And if a person isn't in the right role, that isn't the best thing for them. And it's definitely not the best thing for the company.
Maybe this is a controversial opinion or perspective, but I don't always I tell some of our people and some of our teams, like, I can't wait till you're not working here and you're doing this. And then it messes with their head. And I didn't realize that it messes with people's heads that I say that.
Yeah.
Because it isn't that I don't think that Mosaic's not, I think it's the most important thing. I think building the church is the most important thing ever. But it is, you can build it from both sides, from inside and outside.
Of course.
Right? Well, no, not of course. Some people can't get that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I set out to have breakfast with someone today, or coffee. I don't eat breakfast. Breakfast is silly. Eat brunch. We sit down and he's like, I've always been hesitant to serve because I feel like when you serve, you get stuck. And I said, no. I said, only people who get stuck are people who don't know how to say no. Right? I was like, just say no. Hey, I can't do it this week. I can do it only next week. He's like, I'm in town like once a month. And I'm like, I don't want you to serve. That's a headache for me. I was like, I want you to bring your friends to church. Yeah. And every time you're out in the world, bring them to church. And we're sitting there having coffee, and then we ran into this really cool art director guy, and he was telling me about Mosaic. And I was like, see, that's your serving. That's you. You know? And I was like, you would be annoying to serve with because, you know what I mean? Like you would be distracted all of the time.
Well, I mean, I think sometimes in relation to the church, people don't realize that one of the great services that you can bring is being a connector.
Yes.
Of connecting people who are searching for God with a place that can help them come into a relationship with Jesus. It's an incredible way of serving.
And I think everyone should serve. And I told him, I was like, hey, it's fine if you're not on a team, but be a part of all call. Get there 30 minutes early and be a part of our leaders meeting all call, where there's like 150 people who just have the best time for 10-minute talk, like a 5-minute talk and a 5-minute conversation about what we're doing as a church, and then goes into the gathering. But he also said this. He said, whenever I meet a girl that's cute, but I don't know if she loves Jesus or not, I don't bring up Mosaic. He said like this. He goes, I know the Mosaic conversation's coming, because if they don't want to go to Mosaic, I'm not going to date them. So I send them to Battle Ready first.
So if you're listening right now,
yes,
and some guy friend of yours sent you to Battle Ready, it may be that he's trying to help you move into a conversation about faith and spirituality and about your relationship with Jesus. And which is a really good sign because that means the guy isn't interested in just dating for dating's sake, but is looking for a long-term relationship and commitment.
What I find fascinating is like it's such a luxury to not be like there is no world in which I'm not associated to Mosaic,
Yes, that's true.
whether it's good or bad, right?
Everywhere you go.
Everywhere I go. Everywhere.
Speaking of that,
Okay.
I was on a plane last week to New York, and then I had to fly from New York to Greenville, South Carolina.
You spoke at Clemson.
Yeah. And then I went in a car an hour south.
What'd you
to
do at Clemson?
I spoke to the Clemson football team and got to meet Dabo Sweeney.
That's amazing.
And they got the win, which was awesome.
That's good because they've been fighting it this year.
Yeah. So when I flew into Greenville, my friend Eric Johnson picked me up. He's starting a church there called Studio.
Okay.
So I said, hey, I need a cup of coffee before I get to Clemson. So he goes, I know a cool coffee place right here in Greenville. So we stopped right downtown, walked into a coffee shop. And the second I walked in, a young woman ran up to me and said, Pastor Erwin McManus, I can't believe you're here.
Wow.
And she goes, I'm a part of Mosaic. I'm in Greenville, South Carolina, in a coffee shop I don't even remember the name of.
Right.
And someone's running up and I said, so do you live here in Greenville? She goes, no, I live in Nashville. I just happened to be here working, came into this coffee shop, saw you. I couldn't believe you were here. But I've been going to Mosaic for 8 years and I've been a part of Mosaic houses and everything. And I thought, it's amazing that you could fly across the country to someplace you've never been, some obscure little coffee shop in a small town called Greenville, and have someone run up to you and say, I'm a part of Mosaic, which I think is kind of a beautiful thing.
That's really cool. I love that. And I feel like we have that around the world. It's just really special. So what do we want to get into? I know we've been talking for a little bit, but what'd you talk about at Clemson?
Well, it was kind of a challenging moment because Clemson has been a national power in football for years. And this year has been a bad year for them. It's been a down year for them.
Okay.
And they've had a lot of losses. They have not achieved the level of excellence and achievement that they are expected to have. And so it's easier to speak to a team when they're winning. In fact, one of the things that I think Dabo said was that when they're winning, his phone never stops ringing from people who want to speak to the team.
Right.
Because every speaker wants to be associated with the winning team. But this year, the phone has not been ringing off the hook.
Right.
And so I'm so glad I got to go speak to them this year. And of course, one of the things I really want to talk to them, because, you have these young men who are playing a sport and they can actually go out in this field and get booed by people. And I think it's amazing that adults would boo college students who are playing a game to entertain them.
Yeah.
As if somehow they're responsible to always meet their expectations. And, I'm going, these aren't even professional athletes. So sometimes I think fans need to do like a soul check.
Well, they're like semi-pro now. They can make money.
They're just getting started. Only a few of them are going to really make money on their images and likeness.
We won't get into that.
Yeah. But so one of the things I really did try to focus on is to realize that football is just a microcosm of life and that it's not all of life. It is a part of life, but how they handle adversity and how they handle disappointment will stay with them. And years later, the loss will not stay with them, but years later, who they become in the middle of that loss will be with them. And I think it's true for all of us that, you don't really get shaped by your successes. You get shaped by your defeats. You get shaped by your failures. You get shaped by your disappointments. And who you decide to become in those moments, that's really who you take with you into the next challenge. So it's really great getting to have a conversation with these.
Did they win?
These guys. They did win.
That's
amazing.
amazing.
They did win. Yeah.
That's good. It's always nice to be there on a losing season and they win when you're there.
And I did a little talk based on my book, The Last Arrow, since Florida State has these arrow or spears on their helmets. I said, every time you see a Florida State helmet, I want you to be thinking about this last arrow.
That's so good. You reverse psychology.
Yeah.
I gave him what?
I said, every time you see that, I want you to think about this guy who struck an arrow 3 times and stopped. And he lost the victory because he stopped striking. And I said, so every time you see that Florida State helmet, you strike, you strike, you strike, you strike, you strike.
They must have loved
and you
that,
never give up. It was.
Did they cheer?
I had goosebumps. Even
hey, when you give yourself goosebumps,
you're really going somewhere.
I never understand people who hit people up to speak because I don't want to speak.
And yet tomorrow you'll be flying to Seattle.
Yeah.
to speak up there.
Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know if I'll do it again. Like I said, I didn't really want to do that anymore, and somehow I'm doing it, and we'll figure it out.
But you actually love encouraging people.
Yeah, I just
You
don't
love inspiring people.
I do. I don't like. We're not gonna get into that.
You don't like being a public personality.
Or Christians that much. So I love people who love Jesus. I don't love the Christian web of
Culture. Yeah.
shame culture and guilting culture, and so.
But there's so much.
You rolled past that so fast.
No, there's so many. I was going to say, no, there's so many more people who are for you, and who cheer you on, and who actually need people who have failed to get up and step into their own future and calling and destiny, because it gives them permission and hope that they can get up and be more.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. Whatever. It's fine. It's just you're born into certain things and you just live with it. What else?
Well, I didn't want to leave too fast, even just the process of what we were doing in New York, and just I think some of the inner working of even creating like a piece, because it really relates to life and the dreams we try to pursue in life. Because when I first had the idea of creating the shorts out of the quilts, it didn't necessarily seem like a great idea. And
we'll see if it's great. No one's bought any yet.
Right. No. And this
Bought
is
any?
bought. No, purchased.
No one's bought any yet. That's my slang term. Okay. No one has purchased anything yet.
Right. And that's a great question. So does something have value because someone else values it? Or does something have value because it's an authentic reflection of who you are? Mm-hmm. Should you only create things that someone else will value? Or should you also create things simply because they're something that needs to be expressed out of your own creative essence? And I think that's a great question in terms of art and design and creativity. Because I saw these shorts and I saw the hoodie in my imagination. But I didn't know, could we make it in a way that would really work? Two, would the material lend itself to look good? Right?
Yeah.
And three, would the material even feel good on a person's body when they're wearing them as shorts? There's so much involved.
Yeah.
And then it costs money. So if we made the shorts and made the hoodie and we felt like, no, this is terrible, it's a huge failure, right? Because we put money into it, we put time into it, put energy, and then we would have had a product going, this doesn't work for anyone, not even for me. And I think that so much of life is like this, because I think that if you wait to do something until you're certain it can succeed, you will never actualize your most creative self. And I actually think that you have to create to the point where it doesn't work. That if you're not creating to the point where it doesn't work, you're not pushing the edges of your creativity. Mm-hmm. And so maybe that's like my challenge a little bit today is like, are you willing to push yourself to where it goes beyond where it works? And otherwise you're always playing it safe. You're just always, doing just enough. And you can be successful, but are you really like testing your full creative forces?
So true. I love it.
Like what you took the Carhartts, and then you took that military lining.
Yeah.
And you had a vision,
right,
for how you wanted to design the pants, and I mean the level of technique involved in making that one pair of pants is so intense.
Yeah.
That when you end up figuring out how to price it, people will not realize you're pricing such quality and such design, but you're not just that. You're pricing courage, because it took a lot of courage for you to start tearing everything up to make something.
Oh, it's interesting
that you didn't know in the end whether it would be good. I mean, we've made a few things.
No, I knew it'd be good. No, I knew it'd be good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew it'd be good. I didn't know if that hoodie would be good.
What?
I didn't know if that hoodie would be good. That hoodie, because the first one I was like, oh, yep, I was right. The thing looked bad. And then got better.
But even with the pants, we didn't know if they're going to be too short, if you're going to have enough material to make them long
I
enough.
still think that I still have ideas, but I don't want to talk about that here. Yeah.
No, but I think this is important because, see, I think creativity takes courage.
Right.
And one of the things that people don't factor in is the courage it takes to make things that we actually admire, to make things that are beautiful, to make things that are aspirational and inspirational.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you see something that you have this aha kind of moment, you go, oh, wow,
Mm-hmm.
I can't believe somebody made that or somebody created that. You need to realize there's more than creativity there. There's more than design there. And there's more than craftsmanship. There's courage. Because that person stepped into an arena of creativity and did something no one else had ever done before.
Right. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's true it's true for life. You have to have. I just
wait, hold on. But even for that stuff,
Yeah.
like when we go and create clothing and we go and spend time in the factory and develop and design and work with different goods, like I'm far more inspired to do the mosaic stuff.
So much. In fact,
You know what I mean?
it actually gives me fuel for what I bring to mosaic.
Yeah, and also I think it like, yeah, 100%. Like it definitely drives me to go, okay, like I'm. It's more of a natural fit too. Like I like being in an artistic space.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just crazy because I would have never said I was an artist, and now I think I would prefer doing that than almost anything else in the world.
Mm.
But I also think it's paired with that I love. Like I love mosaic. I love our church. And I was sitting there with like a designer who did this jacket, like this huge rapper I ended up wearing on the cover of a magazine. We were talking. The first thing he says, like, "You're the mosaic guy, right?" I was like, "No, but sure. I'm the son of the guy from the mosaic guy." And I was like, "But I do go to mosaic." And he's like, "Man, I need church so bad. I need church so bad." He's like, "There's no churches in New York that I feel comfortable in. Like, I need church. I need mosaic." And he doesn't even know mosaic. And it was just really a special thing. And I'm like, what we do as artists coming together and doing mosaic and the different things that we do, I think it's fueled with so much life because it's people who are going like, okay, obviously church is so important, the community is so important, but what are we bringing? Like, what are the artistic things that we're bringing to this place, whether it's business, whether it's, everyone has some kind of different aspect of it and bring it to this communal like well. And I think it's really beautiful.
No, I was just talking to one of your friends in London who's super gifted, and has so much talent. And in the conversation, as he was processing the future and decisions, and I said, the next phase of your life isn't going to be about your talent. And it isn't going to be about your skill set because you already have those.
Yeah.
The next phase of your life is actually going to be all about courage.
Yeah.
The amount of courage you can actually muster up will determine the amount of vision you will live up to.
Wow.
And I find this to be, in many ways, a filter in life for people.
Yeah.
That we think the filter is intelligence or talent, or some people think it's just opportunity and networking, right? You just had better luck than me or something like that. You knew someone that knew someone.
Yeah.
But the truth is that the sift that actually filters out people is courage. And it takes a lot of courage to risk. It takes a lot of courage to get back up after you failed. It takes a lot of courage to go against the grain. It takes a lot of courage to go against haters. It takes a lot of courage to go against critics.
Yeah.
And
we were watching a show last night. Like, keep going. You finish your thought.
Yeah. And that's what I would just say to me, if there's an overarching point I'd like to make today is that if there's anything that even you'll see a McManus Gallery that you love, just realize there may be cotton, wool, cashmere, there's thread, there are buttons, but the material you can't see is courage.
Sure. Yeah. It's interesting. I would never have thought of it like that. To be honest, I would never think of it like that. So I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. My thing is perspective. Like I would say that courage paired with perspective, because you can create forever, and if you don't put it out there, then what is it? But perspective is, I think, the key ingredient so much. Like, can you have a perspective and have the courage to put it out there, and can you have the courage and actually have something unique to say? Because I talk with friends, and we posted more of our process this time than we ever had before, which I think was really cool. And was talking to someone. I was like, look, we're not the only ones working in this medium. Like, do World War II military green and then like repurpose kind of goods and big bags and like shirting. Like, we're not the only ones. There's lots of other people.
Yeah.
We just have a unique perspective inside of it. And so, you know, one that's joyful, one that's vibrant, one that's unique, one that's very different. And
hopeful.
And hopeful. And and so, you know, like I worked for brands that were really dark before, you know, like they made everything marble because that's how you do, you do cocaine on marble. Like that, when I was asking behind some of the brand stuff, I'm like, this is so heavy. Why everything was glass and marble at the brand I worked at before, you know? It's whatever, it's fine. But and I didn't realize that was what I was building. And you kind of do, and you realize like it's building party culture, it's building this culture. I was like, what are we building? We're building like life and vibrance and joy and I think that's so perspective. I think perspective is maybe like the top three things. Like, do you see something different, and can you say it differently than someone else? You know, like.
Yeah. And by the way, I think this it dovetails because to have your own perspective does take courage, because most of us will simply see the world the way we're told to see it. Yeah. And we just conform. And conformity is the path of least resistance. And it takes courage to see things differently, to have your own unique perspective, and to trust that perspective is valid and should be expressed in the world.
I love it. Should we keep this one a shorter episode? Do you have anything else to say?
No, I think that's good. I think that, I just want, you know, I want everything we do to inspire people to do life differently. Yeah. You know, I don't want it just to be, hey, got to have those shorts, or, you know, I love that jacket, or whatever it is. I actually want people, when they wear our clothes, to begin to do life differently, to see life differently, to not just be inspired by our perspective, but to be inspired to find a perspective for their life, and to begin to live their life from that uniqueness. And I think that's a part of what I want to do, and through the clothes we make, is to get people up in the morning to see the world through a different lens.
I love that. It's really exciting. I'm really excited for it. And also, just so you know, we're not giving up on the book club. We are not. I just had to take a sabbatical.
And you know what I'll commit to?
What?
Is that before your book club's over, I'll come on and I'll have a special book club hour with all your people, and we'll just do Q&A, and we'll have a great time, and we'll wrap up the whole book.
I want to do at least 2 more weeks. So I want to jump back on it next week when I'm back in town.
Awesome.
And then go 2 more weeks, and maybe that last week you can do a Q&A, and we can just like do more questions. But I want to say thank you to everyone who's been a part of the book club, and that ride. You guys are the most. I'm still alive, I promise. I have not fallen off the face of the earth. I'm so grateful. And honestly, like, we're just, you know, like, life is full. And I'm, you know, I like when it's full. I get sad when it's not so full. And now we're just in a chapter where we have to really keep building, keep growing, you know.
Oh, when are the shorts going to drop?
I don't know. I think next Tuesday.
I think around November 15th.
Yep, I think that's next Tuesday.
All right,
or next Monday.
So check out McManus Gallery next week for the first drop of our Christmas collection.
All right. Also, if you have not rated and reviewed this podcast, please do that on iTunes. Do that on Apple Music. Also, listen to it on Spotify and YouTube, wherever you're listening to. We're grateful that you're with us. We love you guys. We're really, really like excited for the next few weeks. We're gonna try to drop some Battle Ready merch at a much healthier price point.
Yes,
before Christmas. So, you know, stay watching, stay leaning in. We'll talk to you soon.
Christmas is coming.
Christmas is coming. All right, love you, Dad.
Love you too.